What's up YouTube, Johan the Gym Monk here, and today we're making a response video to the food theorist. Recently MatPat made a video about alkaline water, and I actually really liked the video. Most of what he said was quite true. It is generally speaking a little bit of a scam and possibly very much overpriced. However, there was something that I did disagree on. He went into a specific medical condition called G.E.R.D, Gastroesophageal reflux disease, and talked a little bit about it, but he left a few things out that I thought you guys would really benefit from knowing, on top of the very valuable information that he's already given. And if you guys don't already follow that channel, I would recommend it. I really like his stuff. So what is G.E.R.D? G.E.R.D is basically acid reflux when it continues for a long period of time. So you begin by getting that little bit of heartburn and the acid moving up the esophagus and beginning to burn the lining of the esophagus. And then once this progresses to a point where it begins to become a common occurrence and starts to actually do damage, then it's titled as G.E.R.D. Now, very often people will say that the cause of G.E.R.D is too much acid in the stomach, and that excess acid is then bubbling up into the esophagus. And this is the specific point that I actually wanted to deal with in this video. This is actually not really the case. With G.E.R.D, usually the case is actually low stomach acid and a lack of stomach acid and or enzymes, but usually it's the stomach acid specifically. So the stomach has two valves at the top and at the bottom. When food enters the stomach, the bottom valve closes in response to the acidity level. Now, when the acidity level reaches sufficiently acidic enough environments to begin to digest the food, the top valve is signaled to close by the high acidity environment. What very often happens with age or with poor eating habits is that our stomach begins to produce less acid. Now, it could be a sodium deficiency, or rather a salt deficiency, because you need those chloride ions to form the hydrochloric acid. So digestion works by taking the chloride group in your salts that you consume and ripping a free hydrogen atom, proton, and forming hydrochloric acid in the stomach through the lining of the stomach. So this could be caused by a salt deficiency, but very often there are other contributing factors as well. Now, what very often happens with age and with progressing through inflammation, different kinds of dietary stresses, is that over time the stomach and digestive system begins to weaken and it produces less acid and less enzymes. And now that's quite problematic because you actually require enough acid to trigger the digestion process of the enzymes. Enzymes work with very specific pH ranges. It has to be at exactly the right pH range for it to function optimally. If that environment is not there, the enzymes function very suboptimally and very, very slowly. And that's often why this condition of G.E.R.D begins to develop, because food sits in the stomach and is undigested, and the digestion process is not complete. Therefore, the bottom of the stomach won't open and let it into the digestive tract, again, because there's not enough acid. And the top of the stomach is not closing properly because there's insufficient acidity to trigger the closing of the stomach. Now you have a problem where there's food sitting and pushing up into your esophagus and beginning to damage and digest and burn up your esophagus's lining. And this is actually quite dangerous. You can get cancer, you can get all sorts of other diseases from this. And this is something you actually need to take quite seriously. Another point made by MatPat is that generally the medication prescribed are proton pump inhibitors. Now, the problem with proton pump inhibitors is that they will temporarily reduce the acid reflux because they actually decrease the amount of acid in the stomach. But as I've already explained, the problem with G.E.R.D is not too much acid, it's too little acid. And so is adding a proton pump inhibitor really solving the root cause of this problem? Or is it just stopping you from getting heartburn? Solving the root cause of G.E.R.D is very important because your stomach acts as the primary protector between your digestive system and the outside world. You have to kill bacteria, pathogens, viruses, parasites, various types of microbes. All of these things have to be burnt up and digested and destroyed in the stomach before being allowed into the digestive system. So if your digestion is incomplete and you're taking a proton pump inhibitor, weakening your digestion further, the food that is passing into your digestive tract is going to be incompletely digested. Now, you can only imagine what happens when you take away the defense mechanisms for the gut. You're going to begin to wreak havoc on your small intestine, and eventually that's going to spill over into the large intestine as well. So what's my solution? I suggest try to fix the root cause. This might be chloride deficiency because you're not eating enough salt. Maybe you have high blood pressure and the doctors told you to remove salt entirely from your diet, perhaps you should look at other mineral supplementations and another video I'm making on the topic in regards to salt and blood pressure. But you probably don't want to be restricting salt too heavily because it will affect your digestion. So make sure you have adequate amounts of salt. The other thing you can do is add apple cider vinegar to your meals. Adding that extra bit of acidity will really help keep the acidity in the stomach and get the acidity in the stomach to the right level and begin to help improve digestion. I've seen this with quite a few people that I've personally given this recommendation to who struggled with acid reflux, and it does work quite effectively. The other thing you want to start doing is being careful about fluid consumption around your meals. If you do struggle with digestion, don't drink any fluids 20 minutes before your meal and try to wait 45 minutes, even to an hour after your meal before you drink any fluids. This way, that the fluid that is in your stomach and the acid that is in your stomach is able to stay as concentrated as possible. If you go and drink a glass or two of water on top of that, you're going to dilute the stomach acid there and actually weaken your stomach's ability to digest. So if you are struggling with GERD or acid reflux, then try to eliminate the water around your meal so that your stomach acid's a little bit more concentrated and can do its function a little bit better. The other thing you can try is there are certain products on the market that contain stomach acid as well as some digestive enzymes. And taking one of those combination products could help you temporarily get your digestion on the go. What's often recommended by root cause practitioners is to start with one digestive enzyme pill that contains some hydrochloric acid and some digestive enzymes. Start with one a meal. If you don't notice anything, take another one the next meal and have two a meal, and go up until the point where the acidity in your stomach becomes too much, or you have symptom relief. Now, let's say you're taking 3 capsules a day. What this is going to do is assist your body to break down all the foods that you're eating. So now your stomach will be more acidic and there'll be some more enzymes so that your body can begin to extract all of the vital components it needs to make its own enzymes and its own stomach acid. And over time, if you carefully follow healthy eating practices, you're not eating a bunch of processed foods because those can often make digestion worse, and you take your capsules, you'll begin to notice that your digestion will actually get better and you'll begin to have acid reflux symptoms again. At this point, it means that your body is now actually producing too much acid because you're adding acid on top of what your stomach is now producing. So now you take one of those capsules out. And then as the symptoms come back, you remove capsules until your body has completely restored its own natural balance. And so in this way, we can assist the body to restore its own function and solve the root cause, which is that the stomach and digestive system is incapable of producing, or for some reason not producing, enough of these chemicals, and therefore our digestion is poor. One of the last things is to be careful about coffee consumption and caffeine, especially coffee. Coffee seems to cause an instant release of acid in the stomach. Now, if you have a cup of coffee with a meal, this could be quite beneficial. And you might actually find that your digestion will improve if you stop having coffee away from your meals, but rather with a meal. Also, it will help the caffeine absorb a little bit more slowly and have less of a spike of caffeine in the system and thus be a little bit less stressful. So I do recommend consuming your coffee or caffeine with a meal. But in this specific case with coffee, there does seem to be a triggering mechanism where it suddenly creates a drop in the pH and the stomach becomes quite acidic when the body it gets coffee into it. So you don't want to waste the stomach acid and just have it burn off in your stomach while there's no food in there, because you're already dealing with a limited amount of stomach acid. So if you are going to consume coffee, have it with your meals. It'll help improve your digestion and stop that wasting of stomach acid when you don't actually need it. Finally, there's another thing you can do to improve acid reflux symptoms. There's quite a bit of research showing that insulin sensitivity has a large causal role in stomach acid production. And so getting your insulin sensitivity improved would be one way to do that. Eating slightly less carbohydrates if you're eating excessively large amounts of carbohydrates, eating a little bit more of a lower carb, higher fat diet for a period of time could help you improve your insulin sensitivity. Even something like fasting could help as well. So insulin sensitivity is another way that we can improve some of the root cause chemistry of the stomach and get the stomach producing the amount of acid we need and the enzymes that we need. Thank you all for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found something useful. If you are struggling with one of these conditions, you can contact me for some help if you need. But honestly, all you need to do is follow the steps I gave above, get to the root cause, get your stomach healthy, and it will restore natural function. Nobody is born with a pill deficiency, And if we use supplements or pills, we should be using them to correct the problem and get the body back into its own balance so that it doesn't need those supplements and or pills anymore. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe. Have a lovely day.